I can't believe it's noon already. I can't believe summer's over already. How is it Christmas already? Saying things like this probably happens to you more and more as you get older, am I right? Not that I'm having a midlife crisis or anything, but I've been searching and trying new methods to try and slow time down. Enjoy more of every single day and just flat out remember what I did throughout the day, throughout the months, throughout the weeks and years. In this video, I'm gonna go over 4 things that you can do today that don't cost any money, that will immediately begin to slow time down for you. And if you follow these practices just about every single day, or at least try to anyway, you won't be asking those questions anymore. But first, to understand how these practices that I'm gonna go over will help, you have to understand why we keep thinking that time is flying, particularly as we get older. So if you drive to work every single day, like a lot of people do, you probably take the same route to work every single day, travel at the same speed, complain about every red light that stops you, day in and day out. Now, every single one of those drives to work gets magically compressed by our brains into one single memory because nothing's changing. But what happens if you're on your way to work and you get in an accident, or you see an accident, or you get hit by a deer? You remember those drives because something impactful happened or something extravagant happened, something to talk about when you get to work. Honest to God, there have been times where I've been on drives for 2+ hours where I just don't even remember the drive at all. Now that is just one example of something that we do every single day without fail, over and over and over again. Multiply that by every task you do throughout the typical day. Whether that's driving to work, taking the same vacation every year, the same meals you prep every single Sunday, or the same Taco Tuesday that you have every single week. And a year just went by without you even knowing it. During the course of the last 4 months, there were 3 months that seemed to last absolutely forever. So I started taking the following steps this past July, and I kid you not, the month of July was the longest month that I can remember since I was a kid. At least it seemed that way, right? It seemed like an actual month. The same thing happened for the months of September and into October, which is right now. I did fall off using these new tactics in the month of August, and I don't remember a single thing that happened in the month of August. If you've watched my channel before, you can probably guess what the first thing is that I'm gonna tell you that you gotta start doing. Come with me over here. Now, if you said cook, well then, winner, winner, chicken dinner, but it's a little more than just cooking. When you cook a meal from scratch, whether you're following a recipe or not, you have to be engaged in that process. Watching your hands, use a knife, smelling the onion as you dice it, smelling the garlic, lemon, basil, all those aromatics that just make cooking so pleasant. You are present in the moment when you're cooking, especially if you're gonna try my first tip, which is cook a meal you've never made before. Remember when I just told you that the months of September and October have lasted like a really long time, or seem to last a really long time to me? Well, that's honestly because we embarked as a family on a whole new culinary adventure, or journey, if you will, where we only cooked and ate traditional Italian foods and recipes for the entire month. I have so many things to tell you about that upcoming video, but the main thing is that every single meal that we made, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they were all new to us. So if you're not already subscribed, I hope you do, whether because of this video or not, but I hope you subscribe because you're not gonna wanna miss the upcoming Italian video. Now, I'm not saying you can't meal prep or make weeknights easier, but just maybe consider making something new on one of those weeknights. So starting this practice with just one new recipe per week is a great way to just begin to experience what I'm talking about. And as you become more comfortable in the kitchen, more at ease with trying out new recipes and new flavor combinations, cooking techniques, etc., then you can begin to add more new meals to more days, because you'll get a hang for the whole thing. Then you can really try to make every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, from scratch. So So if you do that once per week, I can almost guarantee you that you will remember those meals, therefore remembering those days as well. You'll also find that your grocery shopping, whether in person or online, if you do the whole delivery thing, takes a bit more effort in planning, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that requires that you're a bit more mindful, because you're adding new ingredients over and over again to a routine that you would have just forgotten in the first place. Your old routine, that is. Same ingredients over and over and over again. Makes it a bit more exciting too. Not that I'm saying routines are bad, but this leads me to my next tip. Change one of your routines. This can be as simple as just doing a new breathing tactic before you exercise or before you go to bed, or going to a different restaurant for date night. Do you and your partner go to the same restaurant every single date night? Are you regulars somewhere? Maybe one week, let's try a new spot. It's something as simple as that. Along that same line, how often do you order the same food when you go somewhere? Whether you order Chinese takeout, or you go to get sushi somewhere, or you go to a steakhouse. Do you get the same order every time? It might be time to try something different, create a new memory. You can see what I'm getting at here, is that you just aren't giving your brain a reason to create a new memory. It's just compiling the same memories over and over again into one memory, so to speak. And when you do the same things over and over again, every single day, I hate to tell you, you're just not as present as you could be. So let's change up the routine just a bit. Start with one thing. No provolone. Now you may be thinking to yourself, I need my routines. I need my normal food recipes. I need my normal weekday meal prep because I don't have time for what you're talking about. It's a pretty predictable response, and one that you might be having right now. Is that enough cheese? I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud here so you don't have to. Yes, you do have the time. There is time, I promise you. I have 3 children. 2 of them are under the age of 4, and 1 of them is 20. I don't really have to worry about him much anymore. He takes care of himself. I've owned my own business for the last 12 years, and I work probably 60 to 70 hours a week. I do this silly little YouTube channel also, if you didn't know, is pretty much another job. What I'm getting at here is that we all think we're busy. We all say we're busy. But if we really want to make some change in our lives and start remembering the important moments, we need to actually take time to create those moments. And by taking the time to change up your routine a little bit or make something new in the kitchen, you're gonna be creating those new memories. Will then ramp up your brain to start remembering the other parts of your day. And maybe that's not super sciencey, but I'll tell you what, it's absolutely happened to me 3 out of the last 4 months. And like I said, the only reason the month of August flew by is because I fell off of this routine. I didn't do any of the things I'm talking about. I fell back to my old routine, and that month disappeared. And you don't have to jump in head first and do, a whole week's worth of new meals. Start off slow, be deliberate with the things that you're changing. Change the things that you can change right up front. And man, you'll notice everything that I'm discussing. Now you may remember I said that my July lasted a lot longer than August. Well, it was the first month I decided to start making changes to my routines, to my cooking, and of course, it was summer vacation time. And the people close to me know that I have a really difficult time taking vacations. I always need to be doing something. I always need to be busy and working, and I always need to feel like I'm accomplishing or finishing something, right? That is a change that I'm trying to make. So instead of taking a typical vacation, going to one place and staying there the whole time, we decided to get in the car and go to a couple different places each day of the vacation, which sounds like a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong. It was amazing. Those are times that I wouldn't have remembered before without making this change. And even though we spent more time in the car, more chances for them to fight and yell and scream, those times in the car, I remember like they were yesterday. Each place was somewhere we've never been. I know it does kind of sound like a lot and some crazy logistics, but with a little planning, it was actually quite simple. It was really easy. Each of the places we went were really close to each other. And quite honestly, this was a 3-day vacation that we did. It was like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kind of situation. That way, when we came back, we had the rest of the weekend too, to ourselves, to our house. Those 3 days felt like a 2-week vacation. I feel so gracious that I did that. Those 3 days, I remember them like I keep saying, I remember them like they were yesterday, but they were just so much fun. My 4-year-old, she just turned 4, She talks about it every single day still. She's like, next year for summertime vacation, can we go back to the place we did and do that all again? I mean, it's literally almost every day she talks about it and asks about it. So obviously it struck a chord with her as well. So it's all about striking that balance of new input, of new experiences and new memories for everybody, not just yourself. Lastly, this has been a tough one for me. That device that we have burning a hole inside of our pockets at all times. Just turn off the notifications so you pick it up less. I know, that sounds crazy. Turn off the email notifications. Turn off the social media applications so that your phone just does what it's supposed to do. Make phone calls and do text messages, of course. And you don't have to do it every single day, but maybe just start with it on the weekends and see how it makes you feel. Because I'll tell you what, in the beginning, it feels a little weird when your phone's in your pocket or your watch is on your wrist and it's not buzzing like crazy. It's a little weird. You're like, well, what am I, I'm missing something, right? But I'll tell you what, once that initial weirdness is done, you're gonna feel free. Because you know, what happens is we get those notifications, especially from social media, we immediately pick up our phone and trying to concentrate and talk to you at the same time here. And we look at those notifications, but then we don't just stop there. We have to keep scrolling. So we picked up our phone to look at the notification. This is where it gets tough. But then, oh, I put too much at the end there. Let's stretch this out a bit. But then we keep scrolling and we lose, and then 10 minutes goes by. And you're like, wait, what the hell just happened? And that's something that I struggle with too. And that's why I'm not just talking about an idea here. Like, this is a change that I am trying to make as well. So I'm not just talking to you here. I'm practicing what I'm preaching, I guess you could say. So I know this last tip is a bit more duh, but it's something that I see just every time as I go out. You know, I'm talking to the people that are close to me, or people close to me are talking to me. And, you know, we get that notification, we stop talking to them and we look at our phone. Not bad. When you think about that, it's a really easy thing to do that most people aren't doing. You hear that? That silence. It's lovely, isn't it? Good timing, good timing. So to help you through this process of slowing time down, I've added a page to my website, free. You don't have to give me your email or any of that bullshit. There's a link to it in the description below. On that webpage, there's 10 easy and hopefully new recipes for you to try. Some for breakfast, some for lunch, and some for dinner. Now, I have never made a homemade stromboli before with homemade dough. A little bit of a blowout, not too bad, but I did it just for this video and this wasn't too bad. I'll leave the recipe in the description for you in case you want it. Let's cut into it. Ooh, almost. Now you can also try this video that's just showing up on your screen right now if you're hungry right now. Because if you've never had Peruvian chicken before, it will blow your mind. Oh yes, that's awesome. And it will absolutely create a memory that you'll never forget. Until next time, I appreciate you.